Um, very last minute, really, really excited. Um, so apparently there was a dust up today at the New York Dems. And I have a guest to come on to explain a little bit more about what happened. I was not on Twitter because I was being a good employee at work today. And I logged in tonight and I saw a statement from New York for Bernie. Basically, yeah. So I will let my guest come on and introduce herself, and we can get to talking to you a little bit more about what happened today in New York. And yeah, this is kind of exciting right now because I'm really actually flabbergasted because I'm a big fan of hers. I'm about to fangirl a little bit, but hello.
Well, can you hear me? Sorry, I had to apologize. I'm on the streets of New York, so I'm trying my best. Hey there. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to talk to us. Welcome to The Way with Anoa. Everybody, this is Nomiki. I'm really excited to talk to you.
I appreciate it. I'm excited to tell you what happened.
Awesome. I just want to say, like I just hit up Momita because when I saw it was Momita, I got really, really upset. I mean, I was already upset, but I got really upset. So if you can kind of just give us a little bit of background of what was going on today with the New York Dems, with the delegate convention, and then what happened.
So this was a meeting that was where the Bernie delegates and the Hillary delegates were to come together and essentially vote on a few different things. 3 really very basic procedural things, like who is going to replace the delegates that suddenly couldn't make it. And then one very big thing, which was who is going to be the New York chair of the delegation. And why that's significant is that's the person who, even though it's just an image thing, it's the person who is on camera when they yell on the convention floor, New York State supports so-and-so. So the Hillary supporters decided that was going to be our Governor Andrew Cuomo, who's currently under investigation as well. Not as well supported as even Hillary was in New York, and Hillary only came in, with 48% or 46% of the vote. He had a very serious primary a couple of years ago, not very well liked by the state. All the papers are constantly criticizing him. So you could see why the Bernie supporters would naturally be questioning why Andrew Cuomo would be the nominee, even though if the insider secret is that Andrew Cuomo runs the Democratic Party in New York State. So
right. And
we thought
his most recent antics with the BDS executive order. I mean, there's so many, like you said, there's so many different reasons why that is really problematic, having him officially in charge.
Right. I mean, this is a man who campaigned on anti-corruption, set up an anti-corruption organization, the Moreland Commission, and then shut it down as soon as the Moreland Commission started investigating him, and is now under investigation by the U.S. Attorney. So that's who we're dealing with here. He's definitely not his father. He's no Mario Cuomo. But with that all being said, we decided as a group to learn from the lessons of how the media portrays these conventions. We met as a group prior to this meeting, this unified meeting with the Hillary people this morning, and we said, okay, we're going to follow Robert's Rules of Order. We're going to we're going to do motions properly. And a lot of us have been involved in the Democratic Party. My mom was an elected official in New York. Like, I was raised around these people. Personally, I know Robert's Rules of Order, and I think a lot of people in the room knew it, and they were very respectful of that. But essentially what happened was when the secretary of the New York State Committee stood up, he was going through the motions. He said, are there any motions to object whether or not Andrew Cuomo is the nominee? And 20 people stood up and said, motion to object, motion to nominate somebody else. And we'd all talked about that beforehand. And he ignored it. And he goes, all right, Andrew Cuomo, he didn't say it was unanimous, but he was like, this is basically done. I forgot the words that he used, but it's on camera. And so they kept, people started booing. And this is, I forgot to mention that there were about four speeches by elected officials and party leaders. There was a dais at the top with all the committee positions. And none of those dais members were Bernie people. There were about 6 people, and they were all Hillary people. A vice chair was just nominated, Christine Quinn, who is also a very controversial party person. She ran for mayor. She has, she has a lot of questionable background, and she's not liked by the progressive community on top of it. So she got up there and she started to talk about unity, and then she started to scream at Bernie supporters, scream at them. The convention, it turned very quickly, and people started to boo that. And then immediately after that, we had our vote, and that's when he didn't let us object. He just basically, the secretary moved past it all and said, that's it. Governor Cuomo is our nominee. And at that point, I was sitting next to Kat Bresler. I got up from my chair, and I was like, screw this. I walked down the aisle, went to the front of the dais, grabbed the mic, turned it on, and I looked at him and I said, I don't know if you guys didn't hear us, but there were about 20 people who motioned back there that we would like to suggest another nominee. And he goes, that is it. We voted. It's done. And I said, no, I don't think you understand. And I pointed all these people that were standing up, objecting and motioning. And we had it all on camera. And they cut my mic. And that's when Momita came up, and all the, a lot of Bernie people came up to the front to support.
Right.
It's all on camera. And Momita, there was a Hillary supporter, an elderly gentleman, who I think we have the name for now, from upstate. He first hit her, and then she turned around and she goes, excuse me, and that's when you see it on camera. He hit her with a cane. I mean, so there's many things going on here. There's the fact that the Democratic Party was suppressing our voice, look, they were going to win. They could just pretend to be Democratic. This is not something, they didn't have to pick this fight. It was ridiculous. And then not only that, you had a Hillary supporter hit a 24-year-old Muslim woman who's, it's their first time ever engaging in politics. It's like, that's unity? Bullshit.
And for anyone, if anyone has ever had the opportunity to meet Momita, like seriously, she is the cutest, little, most sweetest, everybody, let's just work together person ever. Sure. Momita is a member of People for Bernie, co-founder or founder of Millennials for Bernie. I mean, very active, wonderful woman. And I mean, I don't even think Momita could hurt a fly. So it's not even like anyone can try and say she provoked anyone or whatever the rhetoric people come out with stuff like that.
Nothing was provoked. Nothing was provoked. I wouldn't even entertain that, because anybody was there. There were Hillary people. The Hillary lawyer walked up to the Bernie lawyer, Arthur Schwartz, and said, that was not, I am so sorry. Like that, because they all knew. Anybody with a brain knew that just let us vote. Like, you don't even have to, it was ridiculous. And then for this man to be like, you're disrespectful, and then hit Momita for walking down the aisle. I mean, this is the Democratic Party of New York State. They're losing membership. They're hemorrhaging membership. They lost every single upstate county. Every upstate county. And they're sitting here saying it's unanimous? And by the way, that was a closed primary with registration in October. So imagine if it was an open primary with registration at a normal time. We got 42% without anything.
Right, exactly.